Thank you, Rochelle. All right. I'm going to start speaking directly to graduates. So, I wanted to start with a quick thought exercise, as I often do in my classrooms. So please, if you will, take a moment to reflect back on when you started at UC Merced. Remember that first step into your college classroom. Who were you at that moment? What was the campus like? What was the world like? Many of you started in fall of 2014. Back then you were perhaps starry-eyed, maybe snotty-nosed, and had no clue what college life was really about. Back then, Apple Hall was not even a real hall, and my office and COB2 didn't exist. But Barack and Michelle were still in the White House, and Pharrell Williams' Happy was leading the Billboard chart. There were some good times and some bad times. On a personal level, I'm sure you dealt with a wide range of emotions at that time: excitement, determination, fear. Now, reflect on where you are today, May 2018, 4 or more long years later. The White House is back white, but we have a Marvel movie, Black Panther, and Cardi B is topping the charts. Okay. So, in the grand scheme of things, we have some good and some bad still. Indeed, there has been a lot of change in the world over these last few years, but perhaps not as significant as the change that you have made. You are no longer starry-eyed, snotty-nosed. You can open your own bank account, rack up your own debt, and buy your own drink. But that's not really the type of growth I'm talking about. I'm talking about your intellectual growth, the skill building, knowledge sharing, dream making, and breaking, identity creating growth that you have made over these last years. You have come a long way. You have done it. You are here, a college graduate. I salute you. Well, as Rochelle shared, I too started 4 years ago. So I'm sort of graduating with you. I feel like we've made this together. And it's been such an honor to be a part of your journey and to be here standing up, delivering this speech today. But I want to be real with you. I did not initially want to be up here giving this speech, partly because I remember sitting in the audience at Black Grad, hearing these wonderful speeches by Dr. Murray Harris and Dr. Nigel Hatton, and just being awed by their brilliance and their passion for you. And as an audience member, I sat and I was like, I can't do that. If they ask me to do that, I'm going to say no. So when I got the email from the students, I was ready. I was like, I'm going to say no. I've been working on this. And then Nia came to my office, and she asked me in person, and I was like, okay, yes, because I'm just really bad at saying no to students. But what really helped persuade me was when I learned the title of the program, The New Black Power. I thought, okay, I'm a sociologist. I talk about power relations all the time. I can possibly do this. And so I set out to write this speech. And then I did more thinking, well, what am I to say about Black power? Should I talk about powerful Black icons? No, because this day is about you, not someone else. Should I talk about the Black Power movement? No, because we're talking about the present, what's happening, what's new. And I just kept coming back to one point. If there was one takeaway that I thought I should leave you with, it was that Black power is attainable. Black power is obtainable today. Black power can be achieved. In writing the speech with this particular message, it seemed apt to go to the source. Way back to Kwame Chur's, formerly known as Sophie Carmichael, and Charles V. Hamilton's book, the critically acclaimed manifesto, Black Power and the Politics of Liberation. So on Black Power, they say, Black people in the United States must raise hard questions, questions which challenge the very nature of society itself, its long-standing values, beliefs, and institutions. To do this, we must first redefine ourselves. Our basic need is to reclaim our history and our identity. They go on to say we have to struggle for Black power, which they defined as the right to create your own terms through which to define ourselves and our relationship to the society, and to have these terms recognized. The book is great. I meant to bring it, but I left it in the car. So if you want to borrow, just let me know. Or after you take a break and recover from the trauma of assigned reading, I encourage you to go to the bookstore and get it. But for those of you who have not read it yet, I just want to summarize and expand on some of their points in this speech today. So in order for Black power to be achieved, we must recognize that this new Black power is multifactorial. It has to be achieved in multiple contexts. The first of that being is self-empowerment. Now, this is not a point I have to belabor to this crowd. You graduates, in many ways, already embody Black power. Did you know that those of you who are here today only make up 4% of the UC Merced population? That means in your standard class of 45, you're probably the only Black person, and you might be lucky if you had a friend. Of course you know this experience. You know what it's like to be the only one and what that entails. The moment when all eyes fall on you, when you feel the weight of the world and just responding to one question. But you remained. You fought off imposter syndrome at every turn. You studied long hours. You reached out for help. You relied on friends and family. You persisted. You worked twice as hard to achieve this degree. You have empowered yourself by powering through your coursework, by joining clubs on this campus, by recognizing that the space that wasn't set out for you, and putting in hours to make that change, by mentoring younger students, by challenging professors, hopefully by also practicing self-care, by remembering that Black joy is sacred and necessary, and seeking out that joy. You have empowered yourself by taking pride in your Blackness, honoring how the melanin in your skin allows you to shimmer various shades of brown, by recognizing your magic and becoming your ancestors' wildest dreams, by obtaining bachelor's and masters and doctoral degrees. So here's another statistic to situate your greatness. About 22% of the US Black population has a bachelor's degree. That means less than a quarter, 1/4 of other Black folks have done what you have done. And for those of you with an advanced degree, you make up about 6% of the Black population. You are what I call unicorns. You have achieved quite an accomplishment. You have achieved Black power by empowering yourselves. Your success demonstrates that Black power is attainable through individual self-empowerment. But, and this is a big but, Black power does not and cannot stop there. It is not only an individual achievement. It must contain communal aspects as well. And on that note, that's another reason why I kind of shied away from wanting to do the commencement speech. As I mentioned, I'm a sociologist. I tend to dislike the individualized, I pull myself up from the bootstraps experience that it typically celebrates. And as I said, I think you all are amazing and awesome. You've worked hard, you have agency. We celebrate your Black excellence. But you are a piece of a more collective story. As Angela Davis told us at the Women's March speech in January, we are collective agents of history. I would extend this to say you're a collective agent of history and contemporary society. You are situated within families, biological or not, who worked hard for you, prayed for you, sacrificed for you, saved money for you to be here. They too represent Black excellence with a degree or not. And I just want to take a moment to thank all of the families for the work they did today. You are agents that are situated within families. You're still situated within a school system that you came from. Many of you are connected to what I call institutional change agents, or more commonly referred to as role models that spoke life into you and shared important social and cultural capital. You're definitely also situated within neighborhoods and communities, these spaces that taught you about life and encourage you to carve out the life you might want. What I'm trying to say is that Black power must be bigger than you. It includes your own power, but in connection with others. So 2, the second route in which I believe Black power is obtainable is through community betterment. This is actually a point that Michelle Obama made during her 2009 commencement speech at UC Merced. She talked about the spirit in which UC Merced was founded, how people in the community came together and wrote letters and advocated for Merced to be chosen as the newest UC campus, and how she saw that spirit again when thousands of letters came pouring in her office asking her to choose UC Merced as the first campus she would give a commencement speech at. She encouraged all of the graduates to carry on that spirit, but beyond the walls of UC Merced. She asked, and I'm asking again, that each of the graduates remember where they came from, the community that helped produce them, and to return to that community and be an active agent for change in that space, so that your Black excellence can be reproduced, and that you might be a change agent for somebody else. That your community, or any other Black community, needs you to work with them. That Black power is a collective effort, and it requires community betterment. On this note, Tur and Hamilton wrote, Black visibility is not Black power. The power must be that of a community and emanate from there. Black power, therefore, calls Black people to consolidate behind their own so that they can bargain from a position of strength. 3, the final way I believe we might achieve Black power stems from this idea of community, but goes even bigger. That new Black power can only be obtained with collective resistance and intersectional movements for social change. That there can be no paradigm shift, no cultural shift, no challenge to institutional-based oppression without collective action and resistance. The Voting Rights Act would not have come at that moment without Selma. The Black resource space in Chancellor's Hall would not have come without your demands and labor. The slowdown to mass incarceration probably won't come without Black Lives Matter and other people who are on the ground putting in work, leading protests, running for office, empowering new generations. We must work, and I mean literally work, together to create change and obtain Black power. This is one of the final points that Tur and Hamilton leave us with. They make it clear that liberation lies in group action. But even though they are emphasizing Black power, they note that it comes with group solidarity, that in order for society to truly accept that Black lives matter, we must also make space for trans rights, immigration rights, women's rights. This intersectional movement must be well thought out and strategic. According to Tur and Hamilton, it includes recognition of various group interests, appreciating mutual benefits, acceptance of independent power, and a realization of specific and identifiable goals. Only then will these intersectional movements for liberation succeed. And it's important for non-Black people to join in this fight. As they remind us, Black power is needed not only to overcome racism, but also to achieve a truly equitable society. Black women in particular, such as Kimberly Crenshaw, Patricia Hill Collins, and Asada Shakur, have long instructed us to think about our linked faith and how they are situated within linked systems of oppression. Whenever I think about this, I think about one of my favorite quotes from Asada. She says, I advocate for revolutionary changes in the structure and in the principles that govern the United States. I advocate for an end to capitalist exploitation, the abolition of racist policies, and the eradication of sexism and the elimination of political repression. If that is a crime, I am truly guilty. So I'm telling you, be guilty. Do the work together. Claim your own space and make space. Then we can achieve Black power. All right, to close. You are probably going to second guess yourself along the way, along the journey towards liberation. I still do. I almost talked myself out of giving this speech today. But please know that you are Black and you are powerful. You have Black power and you can create Black power. You will impact your community and your actions will break down walls. You will work alongside a multicultural, multi-ethnic, multinational group of people to resist oppression and make change. You are the new Black power. So I want to end with just one more thought exercise. Think for a moment about where you want to be 4 to 5 years from now. What personal growth do you want to make? What world do you want to help create? What communities do you want to help create? How will you have achieved Black power? And then do it. Thank you.